Welcome to this video, everybody. We're going to be talking about Claude Code Hooks. If you don't know what that is, precisely that's exactly what we need to discuss today. If you have not already caught up with the previous videos that we are discussing in this Claude Code tutorial series, I highly recommend you go please take a look. Previously, we have covered Introduction to Claude Code from a beginner's point of view, and then we covered Claude Code's fundamental approaches, such as Claude Code skills. Today, we're going to be looking at Claude Code hooks. In order to help us proceed further, I have Rajat with me. Rajat, please, could you introduce yourself and also talk a little bit about what we have covered so far, starting from video 1 up until now? And then I also want to mention that I will be interrupting as usual, if you've seen the previous videos, just to ask some questions to Rajat, and we can sort of learn from a beginner's point of view. Please take it away, Rajat.
Hey, Raksha, thank you for this introduction. Hi, guys, I'm Rajat. I'm an AI engineer. I have experience working at different startups, pretty nascent, where I have extensively used different kinds of AI tools, such as Cursor, Claude Code, Google's anti-gravity, so on and so forth. And I've been doing this for a little over a year now. And so I've gained pretty good experience. And also I extensively work on LangGraph and LangChain. So that is the framework that I, love to work with. So that's what we're going to be delving deep into. It's how to use Claude Code and also how to build a LangChain, LangGraph application. So far as to what has been covered in the past two videos is that in the first video, we took a look at what is Claude Code and how to set up Claude Code and how to set up the slash agents and what are the / commands and things of that nature. And we also ended up building a very prototypical workflow where, we have this LangGraph application that essentially is able to build pretty good in-depth, descriptive, up-to-date blog posts without M tags and things of that nature, and is also able to fact check on its own on the content that it was produced. So it's essentially a multi-agent architecture, if you will, because we're building it through LangGraph and everything is a graph with edges, right? So, and in the second video, we took a look at what are Claude Code skills and how we could implement them and how we could leverage those skills into our project. Claude skill is not something that you implement and you can immediately see the effects of that or the fruits of the labor, if you will. So that's what we've done so far till now. And in this video, we'll be taking a look at Claude Code hooks, what they are, why do we even need them, and typical scenarios when we would use them, and see how we could, put that into the project that we already have so that we could leverage skills and hooks as well. All of this to say, it's just going to make your development journey using Claude Code a whole lot better. Otherwise, if you didn't use them, so might as well use it, right? Let me just quickly share my screen. So in the last video, I don't know if you remember, we left at the same point where the context left was 2%, and I did make it a point to say that. So this is all the things that we've built. Just to quickly reiterate, we added another node called grammar check node that is essentially going to check for any grammatical mistakes that the agent has made and effectively optimize them. So it's right after.
Just to iterate, by no means this system is optimal, and we are not necessarily focused on making the system optimal just yet. And the way Rajat got into this terminal, please correct me if I'm wrong, is you just said Claude -- resume, and then you were able to get into this particular session, correct? That's how others could also get into this.
Yes, so I could just say Claude, and keep in mind, if you have multiple threads, it's better to just type Claude and have it open that, and then say resume. So it's going to open this kind of UI-ish, and say resume, and you can select the thread that you're working with. You can have multiple threads for the same project, right? So you click on that, and it opens up here. So moving forward, we had implemented the grammar checker. Essentially, If you take a look at the node, where exactly it is, so there was the right article and grammar check, and we have the fact check. So this is where it was implemented. It's added in between these two different nodes. Now, the point is to add or work on Claude Code hooks. What are hooks? Just to reiterate, and I'd like to give like a one-liner explanation of Claude Code hooks. Claude Code hooks is something that you use for it to happen in a deterministic way. Meaning, let's say the Claude Code agent is effectively going to make a tool call. Maybe it could be write or read a file or whatever, or maybe even web search. So what these hooks do is effectively say, when a certain specific event happens, I want you to execute X, Y, and Z. So, for instance, it could be if I'm, let's say, making a web search. So if the web search happens, so if the Claude Code agent is calling the web search tool, I want effectively all the output of the web search to be flushed into a MD file, so to speak, right? And this is nothing to do with your workflow itself, but it's just something that you probably want to use and come back later to. So in those case scenarios where, I mean, don't get me wrong, it could be also pertaining to your workflow as well. But if you just wanted to do something in the background without actually stopping the workflow or things of that nature, that's where Claude Code hooks comes into picture. Now, just like how I build Claude Code skills, I also would like to take the same approach for Claude Code hooks and have the Claude Code research agent itself drive or steer me in the right direction and suggest different Claude Code hooks that we could implement for our project. So I can ask, hey, what are some of the Claude Code hooks that I can have for this project based on the code base?
Yeah, I have a couple of topics. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think, typically there are few predefined Claude Code hooks that, people generally use. So if you're using like Python or something and you want to effectively make it write test after the Claude Code has created new code, you could probably do that. It's basically a post tool call hook. And maybe if you wanted to validate specific API keys before running them and making sure that they're working so that you don't run into any runtime errors. So that you could have a pre-tool call hook. Yeah, different hooks that you could effectively have that people generally use. And this is very use case specific. And that's why I like to have my Claude Code agent go through the code base, understand it, and suggest me the best places to add Claude Code hooks. And as you can see, it's compacting conversation. While that's doing, yeah, Rakshit, you had a question.
Yeah. So, two things. And we've discussed this previously, but for those who are just tuning in, who have never seen us, hey, welcome. Yeah. So, what is going on here is a Claude Code has its own researcher agent, and that researcher agent has access to the latest documentation. So when you say go look for appropriate hooks, Claude internally knows what is the meaning of a hook. The meaning of a hook is already established by Claude Code, and that's actually looking at what is available and what kind of hooks can be established. And the second thing, and Rajat, please feel free to correct me all this time, maybe I'm speculating. The point here is that as you are letting this hook be run, I imagine, you could have a pre-hook and a post-hook, right? There's no limitation for what kind of hooks you can add. Anything that you could find some sort of easing your workflow, you could add as a hook, whether it's code or it's your internal workflow. For example, if you're executing trade, one use case for this is after trade is executed, you want to maintain a work log of the trade activities, right? At what price point the stock was bought, what price point the stock was sold after the trade has been executed. This is an important transaction in the finance world to maintain the security and compliance part as well handled. So I imagine something like that is doable. It's not only for your workflow, but also for the code piece can also be added. Both, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, you could think of hooks or as something as, of course, I don't know if for the non-technical people out there, there's something called as webhooks that people usually use, and what they effectively mean is what you kind of summarized. And in a nutshell, to encapsulate and drive the point home, is these hooks are nothing but we're just saying, hey, if a certain specific event happens, I want you to do something else as well, because just because of the fact that this event happened, I want you to do something XYZ. So your example was great. So if when the trade happens, we also want to keep a logbook. So when the trade got executed, immediately the log should be written. So that is the trade happening is the event, and the hook is, hey, write this into the logbook or whatever, right? And that's pretty much exactly what Claude Code Hook is in the sense. So
It,
and
I
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as a follow-up, it kind of begs the question, why can't I automate it elsewhere? Why do I need these hooks here if it's just helping with the workflow? I mean, it makes more sense if it is also writing code post execution of a certain event. Maybe that's why we need this, but are there other obvious reasons why we need this hook?
Yeah, I mean, great question. So you're asking why do I even need to deal with Claude Code hooks? Why can I just
Yeah,
not write a Pythonic way of handling it? Is that
correct.
correct?
Or any other form of automation
Yeah.
that can do this job for me.
Yeah, great question. And this very straightforward answer is, how are you going to catch those events? Because you see, when the Claude Code calls a tool call, or when the Claude Code is able to edit something, it is contained and isolated in the Claude Code session, right? So how are you going to capture that event? I'm sure there are, I mean, ways you could do about it, or just use the hook that Claude Code is already giving us, right? So in that instance, that's when this is very specific to Claude Code, and that's why you want to do it. Because, like I've spoken to you about, Claude Code can use specific agents, right? So if you've set up a specific agent and you want a hook to be triggered when that agent was used, how are you going to do that without using Claude Code? So it's very internal oriented, for the lack of better words. So that is why you have to deal with Claude Code hooks. And do you absolutely need it? No, definitely not. You don't need to. If you're just getting started out and you just want to build a basic application, you're definitely, you can get away without it. However, more you get into it and the more deeper you kind of put yourself into this Claude Code environment, that's when you will realize, hey, is there any ways to optimize what I'm already doing to save my time and things of that nature? Very straightforward thing would be, let's say and this is for complete development oriented folks. So let's say I have I just made a GitHub commit and the PR was approved. And what I could do is, the moment the agent can make a commit and the PR was approved, you can have an internal hook here saying, hey, check this. And if it was approved, why don't you go ahead and deploy? Because sometimes you don't want to set up a CI CD or things of that nature, and you want to keep it very self contained. But you have all the environment variables and the deployment pipeline, the YAML, cloud deploy YAML, or whatever that could be, depending on what cloud provider you're using. Uh, it could be very self-contained, right? And so that's almost like a CI/CD in itself. You're not even having to deal with going to GitHub and creating those and things of that nature. Or better yet, if you wanted to have different specific branching logic. So let's say when you're developing a feature, you want the branch to be feature forward slash whatever the feature is, right? And in that case scenario, you want the agent to create the new pull request on a new branch based on whatever it is. If it is a hotfix, if it's a feature, or if it's trying to update a bug or whatever. So you could create specific hooks asking, hey, depending on this, make a call to this specific hook. And at the end of the day, hook, you could they're just you could execute a bash command, or you could execute different LLM calls, things of that nature. So you have the complete context within that session, and you're pretty much self-contained. So yeah, that's probably the bigger answer to your
Thank you.
question.
Yeah, that helps because it seems like this is a quick and easy integrated way of intercepting actions before it's taken or after it's taken, as opposed to you writing extra. It's like, yeah, you can do automation externally, but you got to deploy more energy into making that automation happen. And you don't know for sure where that automation breaks, because there could be some breaking point which could not be necessarily caught on by those automations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead, you use this, it makes your life easier.
Absolutely. Probably another thing is, let's say you have a long running task and you want after the Claude Code executes it, you probably just want a notification that pops like a tune or whatever. So what you could do is, hey, after the execution, you could use the post tool call or post execution hook and just write a bash command to kind of play that audio once it's done. It could be something very as simple as that as well. So whatever the case may be, it's good to have this in our arsenal. And knowing this really helps because then you could think about ways you can optimize for your specific use case. Yeah, so that should hopefully answer the question. Yeah, so coming back to what we started off, so it says based on the hooks documentation and the research agent code base, here are the specific Claude Code hooks that would be useful. So it is giving me the recommended hooks for the research agent. So graph validation hook. So post, and this will be executed after the post or after the event post tool use. So what that means, validates graph compiles after editing builder.py. See, this is pretty cool. So what this is doing is, let's say I add a new feature here, and previously I added the grammar check node, right? So let's say I add a new node, and effectively what I want to do is I want to, for sanity purposes and making sure everything works and I didn't break anything during any of the code optimizations or code creation, I didn't want to break anything. So what I can say is, hey, you know what? After the tool call or after things were edited, so the tool call was the edit tool call, and to this specific file path, research agent graph, why don't you just run it and make sure it compiles? And when I say compiles, it just, imports properly. So what that effectively does is, let's say the agent does some code updation to this file, and it's almost like a pytest, if you will, right? So if this wasn't there, it might make a mistake, and you're only going to find out once you try to run it later point in time. So then you might have to think, oh, I have to come back and kind of change the code back or fix it. But what if during the process itself, it became very chained together, meaning, hey, look, the code change that you made, Claude Code, you messed it up because it's not executing. So go ahead and fix it, if that makes sense, right? So
It'll ask for the code changes to be automatically fixed as well. It's not just testing.
yeah, that's the thing, right? So when you use a tool hook, and here it says edit, so right after this edit, if this will automatically get triggered, and if it does get triggered, the command runs, and if it fails, you could have another hook to say, hey, you know what, this failed, why don't you go and fix it?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So you could link multiple hooks together and things of that nature. And prompt linting hook. So checks for common prompt issues after editing prompts.py. Okay, pretty cool. And then test runner hook. So auto runs relevant tests after no changes. Yeah, it's just basically going to run a pytest on the test files.
Pretty similar functionality, first and the third. It's just
first and
the
the
way
third.
the functionality is implemented is different.
Yeah, true. So these are specific test cases. This is assuming that your graph will compile, but other test cases might fail, right? So, yeah, in a nutshell, sure. And then type check hook, post tool runs mypy after editing type annotated files. Sure, like if you have any type instructions and you want to make sure that all the input outputs and all the input parameters that you're passing is following those type checks. And that's what it's running here. And LangGraph server warns if server is running before making changes. Yeah, this is fine. This is just, it is basically going to say, hey, you're about to make a change, but you already have an active server. Do you want to go about doing that? And yeah, if I'm happy with these Claude Code hooks, I would just say, yeah, go ahead and implement these hooks. So the way it gets implemented is it's going to create a settings.json file where it's going to define all the JSON schema for different different hooks, and effectively it is going to just match on a specific type of event. So what it's going to say is, hey, this hook should happen post tool use. So what is the tool use? The tool use is edit. So post the edit, I want you to run this hook. And what is the command to run it? The command is cd, go into my directory, and Python. It's just basically a bash command. And yeah, multiple such hooks exist, and it's asking, hey, do you want me to create these hooks? So I would say, yeah, go ahead and create these hooks. And yeah, that's actually the beauty of Claude Code Research Agent, where the Claude Code Research Agent already knows how to implement a hook and basically researches through your code base and prompts the best hooks that you could implement. So the thing is, once you have set these hooks, I need to close and come back again. So I'll say Claude, edit, and resume and go into that thread. So I can ask, hey, hey, are all the hooks set up?
And while it's answering,
Yeah.
are these hooks guaranteed to run? Unlike skills, because remember, skills, we had a little bit of trouble kicking it right away.
Yeah.
I imagine
So
hooks should not be the case like
yeah,
that.
that's the
Right?
whole point of hooks. They are deterministic. The issue with skills were they were triggered by the LLM, right? And LLMs are, they have their mind of their
Yeah,
own.
they don't follow all your instructions. Some of them
Exactly.
have very good instruction following benchmark results, and yet they don't follow instructions very well.
Exactly. So, but the point of hooks is you are rest assured to make sure this runs. So that's the whole point of it. And yeah, I mean, it's again compacting conversations. I really wish the compacting conversation was a quick task, or, you know, Claude Code kind of did some optimization in the background itself, where when I'm about to reach the context, let's say I have 3% left, it already in the background calls off the compact conversation
Logic.
workflow. Yeah. So that way, when I'm just going to hit, it's just going to already have that conversation and just flushes in with the last 3% that we didn't summarize, which is still fine. That will still be in the context. So I don't know if some engineers at Cloud Code are watching this video, I think they could take this feedback. Okay. So look, so it said no, the hooks are not set up yet because the conversation was compacted and it just immediately, it tried to kind of go with what was previously the knowledge it had, but which was wrong. But then when it looked for Claude settings and it found the JSON, it actually recorrected itself and it said, hey, actually the hooks are already set up. Here's what's configured, and these are your hooks. So the hooks are already working. For example, when I added the grammar check node earlier, the graph compile verification hook ran automatically. Obviously, this is hallucinating because we added the hook later after the grammar checker node, but it's still that conversation summary is still there in the history. Yeah. And by the way, I wanted to just show the conversation compaction. So if I do Control O, hopefully, not sure why it's not
So what are
showing.
we trying to do now? Control O is to show the compaction.
Yeah, it'll essentially show the compaction, showing detailed transcript. Um, yeah, I think it probably because it already executed the other two calls and it's just not right after the conversation. It's not showing. But effectively, if the conversation was compacted and if you wanted to see the history, you could do Control plus O and it should show all the summary of how the compaction went. But yeah, okay. So now the next thing what we can do, now that we have set up Claude Code Hooks, is effectively just test out if it works. So I can ask, hey, can you test if the hook works?
I imagine we need to give it another node now.
Yeah, not effectively. It's just going to edit the builder.py and just check if it's going to work because that's also one of the hooks, right? Anything changes to a builder.py, it's going to run the
Yeah.
hook too.
I mean, I was thinking earlier, I think we should do the grammar check after the fact check is complete. That way we don't we don't have to do extra work. I don't care if the initial synthesis is grammatically incorrect. I only care after fact check it's grammatically correct because that's when it's supposed to go to publishing.
Yeah, true. But I could also argue that maybe we could. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's just the caveat would be that, I mean, if we want to fact check, let's fact check it on complete grammar as well, right? Grammar optimized uh, blog,
Fair enough, yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's
I assuming all LLMs generally follow good grammar principles, yeah, I was just thinking if we make that change now could be a good time to think about exploring the hooks functionality. So what are we doing now? You just hit /hooks and it shows the hooks.
Yeah, so for some reason, okay, the edit was made. If the hook was working, you should see an output like this. Graph compiles with 14 nodes. Or if there was an issue, graph failed. Let me clean up the test comment. So I am not able to see. I can say, no, I didn't see what's going on. So now it's looking it into Claude Hooks troubleshooting guide, and hopefully it basically comes up with a fix.
Did it run Python command to make sure it actually
Yeah, it
tested?
should run in the background, yes. But it did not run, that's the thing. So it had made an issue. I mean, it had made wrong way of doing it. It was not proper. So now, yeah, it's echoing it out and see, it's just going to get us what actually
More
happened.
verbose
So that,
output.
yeah, so that, exactly. So verbose, so that we know what's going on.
Seems like it ran, right?
Yeah,
I mean, compiles with 15.
exactly. So command works, your graph node, true. So now let's, for sanity purposes, let's just restart, come back in, resume. And okay, now, okay, make another change and let's see if it's working.
Do you want to make the grammar checker swap?
Yeah, sure. After this, I'll do it. So I'll just type it down. Also, let's make the swap between update. I think when it makes, okay, let's see. Grammar checker be the last node. Okay, it's going to go ahead and update the notes or swap the notes. So it's going ahead and making that swap. I say yes. So the thing about this is, when you change one node, it's not just about changing that node, right? It's the entire flow, the way the edges connect with them. You
Yeah.
have to make sure that makes sense. So that is why. Yeah, see, graph compiles. Exactly. So it made the change. And now it says, hey, let me verify if the graph compiles. And here you go. Graph compiles with 15 nodes. So that hook
Nice.
executed, right? So that's the thing. The swap is complete. So it does write article, fact check, fix claims, and then grammar check, approval article. That's what we wanted, right?
Excellent. Yep.
Yeah.
This is all I wanted.
Yeah. So now we can go ahead and run the server and test it out.
Yep.
So now another cool, neat trick that I wanted to show is I wanted to, let's say now since we're in the development environment, right? And let's say I want to have a custom / command where, because I know I'm going to be consistently restarting the server or keep running the server, I could have a custom / command for that. So for instance, let's say, hey, create a custom / command to run the server.
And also, I just want to interject here. I know you've discussed this to me, but I think it's worth also telling to the viewers it's okay if you make some spelling mistakes. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Since since these LLMs are pretty much trained on our human data, it it gets the point. Even if you not just make a spelling mistake, even if you just say it's a completely different word, it understands the surrounding meaning and kind of gets the point of what you're saying. Maybe if you're talking something in English and there are very two similar sounding words like um, catch and fetch, maybe. And when you're probably speaking in and doing speech to text and it gets the other way around, the LM effectively is not going to, break. It's still going to understand what they all mean, and and me correcting uh, these typos is for my sanity. It's not anything for the LLM.
Yeah, I think next time we intentionally do a spell mistake to demonstrate your point.
Yeah, absolutely. So now it has created the slash run server command. So this is a custom slash command, and effectively this is another skill.
Hmm.
So the skill is, hey, you have a new skill which is run server skill. So if I say / run server, it's going to look up that MD file and read everything, and effectively it'll go and execute those commands if it has to. So now again, I'll close and come back.
Do we need to keep closing frequently like
Yeah,
this?
because we're making changes to the Claude internals, right? So it won't refresh automatically. So yeah, so now I do.
I wish there was a much faster way to do this. I mean, this is already decent, reasonably fast, but we want it to be done like with a keyboard shortcut or something.
Huh, maybe there is. I have to look into it. I can't see the run server skill. It should have shown up. Interesting.
Do you
Hey,
want to see
I can.
the Claude skills files?
Yeah, a run server skill. Well, it's not my problem. I let the Claude figure it out. Right. But effectively, after it has created the skill.md file, it should show up. Not really sure why. Maybe, okay, it created .claude skills run server command. Okay, so it is done in the project end. So yeah, it should. So now again, it's looking into the slash command documentation and seeing if it has done a mistake in implementing it. Yeah, so see the issue. The skills and slash commands are different in Claude. Claude skills auto trigger by, again, this is not entirely true because as we know, skills, they do get auto triggered, but not all the time. So it's not like 100% accurate way of saying this. And the slash command is also a type of skill. But the thing is, we call it slash commands or they call it slash commands, but you could interchangeably call them either which ways. But typically, the community also calls it as a skill. So that's another thing that I want to put it across. But effectively, you could have pretty much the same thing, have it as a skill. Because what you could do is you could create a skill and create a slash command of that skill, if that makes sense. And I assume that's what the agent is going to do. But anyway, now I have to come back. Okay, so now run. Huh. Interesting. I still cannot see the / run server. I think the issue is I'm in the home base directory, and I think that is probably the issue. No, I restarted Claude Code. Okay, let's try again. Let's do exit and Claude. Yes, and then resume. Hold on, is there any run command here? Okay, no. So resume. Yeah, it's so I restarted it, but it's still not there. So this is definitely the issue with the way it's been implemented. Let us see.
If we can't get this thing working, we can move past this and we'll come back to this later if we need to.
Yeah, because I like to quickly show in another terminal. Oops. So I'm going to open up another project that I'm working on, which is the parallel universe. And in that, if I just go here and I do different, so let's say deploy. I have this custom deploy / command, and this is effectively a skill.md file that's returned, and it has a / command for it. For that instance, even the status or even the logs. So these are all custom / commands that I've deployed for or I've implemented for my custom project. But let's see. Okay, so exit and then come back and then resume and then run to, okay, we don't have it.
Looks like we're running out of luck right now.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we can come back to this perhaps, unless you want to try some more.
Yeah, I mean, you can let me know what we can do, but this is also a good thing to have, because if you want to keep doing the same thing, for instance, I want to run the server now. If I just set this up one time, the next time I don't have to say or tell Claude, hey, how should I run the server, right? I can just say
Yes.
/ run server and it'll take care of everything for me. It does make sense to have it, but you know what I think? I think because the current directory I'm on is the home directory, right? And I think probably that might be causing the issue. Although not very sure about it, but it's just my intuition. Yeah, all right. We can come back to that. I'll just say I'll probably just give it one last try, and if it doesn't work, we'll continue moving on. Hey, I still don't have it, man. So let us see what. Yeah, see? So not from the project directory. There you go.
Why did that happen? Oh, you should
Because
have you should have gone to the project directory to hit Claude.
yeah, the issue is, so what I did when I started off the video, when we started off building this project, I did it in this home / Raja.db, and that's where the Claude thread exists, right? But the project itself exists in the research agent directory.
I see.
So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that's the problem. So
So what do we do then? Can we
now
move this Claude session into the directory?
not really going to, yeah, boom. So it just added the same thing in that directory now. That's it. .cloud commands. It just added that in the home base directory.
Okay.
If that
Yeah,
makes
this
sense. So
is not a great way, but for now it
yeah,
works.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not a great way but for now it works. And now I should have the run server. Boom, there you go. So what this
Nice.
does is start the LangGraph research agent server. Yeah. Now I can say run server, and or if you just say, hey, go ahead and run server, you just type it out, it'll say, hey, can I use the / run server custom command? So that way the agent knows fully.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's started. And that's why I say this is another skill effectively, although we don't, make it look like a skill, but it's typically another skill which you could use interchangeably. So now, hide it. Let me create a new window.
I
And
think this is running on your SSH remote server, right?
yeah,
So you may have to port forward it to your local.
yeah, true. But I think it should just come in. Let's see.
Because you already set it up, I imagine.
Yeah, so go to deployments, Lang Studio, and just copy that. Actually, let me try opening this. If it doesn't work, then I have to URL.
Yeah, that's another way too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
working.
Okay. Perfect. It works. Can you guys see it?
Yes, I would love if you could zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
So now, boom, we have the same thing. And if you see we should have the, what's it called? The grammar checker node. Yeah, here we have the grammar checker, which is effectively the last part of the node. Yeah. So now we can go ahead and if there is a thread existing, yeah, cool. So this was the previous thread that we had previously.
Yes, can we start with the new topic?
Yeah, we can definitely start with a new topic and go through that. So what do you want?
Why did NVIDIA acquire Slurm?
Why did
I mean, actually,
NVIDIA?
what's interesting is why did NVIDIA acquire Grok?
Yeah. ACQUIRE.
It's not necessarily acquire. Why did NVIDIA license Grok? Yeah, GROQ.
NVIDIA. Well, I mean, sure, license. LICEENSC. License. Let's see what happens. So first it's planning the query. And yeah, this is what I don't like about, okay, cool. Next, analyzing the results from the web search. And the cool thing is you could make it just like OpenAI chat without having this as well. But I like to just visualize and see.
I think we should do that as a separate video too. I think it'll be useful for users to see how they can turn this LangGraph thing into a chat. In
Yeah.
fact, furthermore, it's somewhat slightly off topic, but I think we should also show how to bring this to production.
Yeah, absolutely. How you can implement multi-tenancy and definitely how you could bring this to production. And one of the things that's a bit hard with LangChain is the way you deploy it. If you bring your own servers, then your deployment process is different as opposed to using their own LangGraph native cloud, which is super easy. But if you bring your own cloud, it's going to be a bit of task. But yeah, we could definitely show them how they could productionize this, make it multi-tenant, and how you can add authorization, things of that nature. Yeah, adding Postgres in the background.
Sounds
Uh,
good.
yeah, so it's still going ahead and researching.
How do we
and
add memory? Memory is also part of LangChain, correct?
Yes, correct. So memory is handled by LangGraph. The way it works is, the first day I spoke about langgraph.json file. So,
Yes.
The way it works is typically if you don't give any backend database, it's going to stick to in memory, meaning it's only persistent during that session. And once you close it, it's going to go away. However, if you want to keep it persistent, you need to use a database. And LangGraph typically gives a out of the box way to do that. It maintains threads, it auto handles everything for you, and you just have to give your backend, whether you want to use Redis or you want to use Postgres. So, I mean, it typically uses both Redis for thread. I think, yeah, Redis for maintaining threads and Postgres for the complete data backend and whatnot. Kind of spin up those Docker containers, Redis and Postgres, just give the necessary links, and that's it. You already have like a memory implemented, with Postgres, but it's not very straightforward when you want to deploy it and productionize it. So we have to deal with a lot more nuances when it comes to that. So now execute search.
So what happened so far as we were talking?
So I mean um it did the research and it went to approval queries. Okay, cool. It approved. And I've told, right? It uses 7 times to kind of plan the query and execute the search. So effectively, now this is where it's calling the Tavily web search multiple times until it's satisfied. And once it's done, now it's going to go ahead and synthesize a prototypical article uh, as to what we asked. And now it's going ahead and writing the article. Next, it's going to do fact checking. And once the fact checking is done, it's going to, if there are any mistakes or that cannot be proven, it's either going to eliminate or rewrite. And once that's done, it's going to do a grammar check and then finalize it.
Yeah, nice.
And note that it's maintaining the no M tag philosophy that we have. So although the synthesizer may have M tags, in it, the article itself doesn't have any M tags unless it's like a multi-word thing that, see here, time to first token. That's a multi-word, right? So that's where it makes sense to add those dashes, but otherwise, it's
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
good looking
LLMs are
article.
fantastic to insert the M tags and dilute the way I'll take back.
Yeah,
Insert the M tags and asserts a certain way of reading, mental model. So what's happening now is it went through, it collected all the inputs, and now it's fact checking. So with this fact checking, essentially, here's the part. So if it's finding a verifiable source, then okay, it's factually right according to this system, correct?
true.
If it does not find, yeah. So what is the claim? Let's just take a look at the claim for a second.
So the claim is here. So the way this works is so the claim is split into a JSON fact checker. So the fact check failed because it could not find a specific claim. So here is the claim. $20 billion transaction announced in 90 word blog post in Christmas Eve. So sure, that claim is,
It's got several parts to it,
yeah, exactly.
right?
The second one, when CNBC broke the story in December 24th, 2024, the details seemed unusual to believe. Not sure why it's 2024. It was supposed to be 2025, but maybe I'm mistaken something.
No, it's 25.
Yeah. Let's see. NVIDIA entered. Maybe this is um, something to
That's
do with,
coming from LLM, yeah. Like
yeah.
the synthesizer hallucinating or something like that.
Not, yeah, maybe. So I think, this definitely coming from LLM, but the thing is, this data itself is grounded in the web search, right? I mean, the LM is not cooking up anything unless otherwise. See
You
here,
see,
the key points. In the synthesizer, 20 billion non-exclusive license agreement in 2024, Christmas evening. It must be somewhere, and that should have come from the web search here, somewhere in the web search here.
I mean, we have seen occurrences of LLM misconstruing the actual facts,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely. I mean, we can't deny it, but it's safe to assume it must have come from somewhere. I mean, if not, yeah, look at this. So 2024, 2025 acquisition. Okay, that's the query. Here it must be NVIDIA strategic moves, semiconductor, 20 billion agreement. Yeah, so you see it's 2024, 2025, and somewhere down the line it kind of misconstrued that information and got it to 2024. And thus, it was, I don't know where exactly the fail was wrong. I mean, the claim was wrong. Let's see. So the zeroth claim was verified. The second claim was also verified, which is interesting.
so it wrongfully accepted the
Yeah, so I mean,
claim. Maybe
well,
it did not look at the date, it just verified it came from CNBC. Two
yeah,
parts to
so I
the,
mean,
the
to
claim
say it
there.
wrongfully accepted it because we don't have the complete data, or at least, I didn't completely look at it. We could give the LLM the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, I mean, it's better to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, we objectively know. I mean, that's why this project has human in the loop. The human still can go and ask for updations,
yeah, true.
right? It's not like humans are not included in this process. It's
Yeah.
basically just synthesizing stuff. And this is real world. This happens with, almost any LLM. And you still got to be, that's why you need a human, actually.
Yeah, true.
So we're not offsetting the role of a human here. In fact, this establishes why we need more, overview from the humans, and
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
not have any oversight. So, but the bottom line still remains, whenever there are competing claims at the same time, I guess it just takes one of them that looks about right and
Hmm.
proceeds, which
Yeah.
is fine, which is understandable because that's why you need an actual reviewer. Let's look at the final blog. Where is the grammar checking? Did it catch the
Yeah,
grammar
here's the
checking?
grammar check node. It did any optimizations seem necessary? So the deal that defies when CNBC broke the story on December 2024, the details seemed almost too unusual to believe Nvidia had entered into a non-exclusive license agreement with AI inference startup. So I think the original talks about this came during 2024 of December.
I
And
think
maybe
we should check. Let me check. Did
yeah,
CNBC mention
I could
about
check if you want to.
NVIDIA deal? No, I'm looking at it. You can continue with that and check the process is good. I'll quickly take a look at it.
Yeah. So yeah, grammar account. So here we see for any grammatical issues that may be. So one of the grammar corrections, fixed punctuation, added missing comma after, but here's what makes the deal extraordinary. Should be followed by a comma before colon, right? Okay,
Nice.
next is fixed punctuation, corrected spacing around quotation marks in several instances for consistency. Okay, fixed capitalization, ensure proper capitalization for static RAM, SRAM, already correct. Fixed word choice, changed acquire to acquihire for consistency with standard tech industry usage.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the CNBC first announced in 2025, not 24. There was not one mention of any sort of exclusive agreement in 24.
Hmm.
So I
Okay.
think we should look into how to optimize this further. Like I said, this is not a perfect project. This is what happens when you wipe code and what happens when people get started on wipe coding and things like that. The goal here really is to get you started with wipe code and sort of introduce you to LangChain, but not really to make the perfect system here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's not accurate performance wise as well as accuracy wise. And this is the accuracy piece. Obviously, the performance piece is like, we could for sure improve the number of threads or number of work streams that are launched in parallel and things like that. And we are not looking at it just yet. But yeah, so
yeah. And I mean, the thing that I would like to add is, I mean, is this issue because we wipe coded, or is this issue because we didn't wipe code? So to answer that question,
yeah,
it's, I mean, I would not like to attribute this to whether it was because or
sure.
because we didn't, right? Because I mean, what's to say this won't happen even if we were to have followed the documentation,
For
right?
sure. By that, what I meant is we just came up with this very quickly, and we could still find ways to ensure those claims are, appropriately verified. That's what I meant.
Sure.
It's not to knock on wipe code. In fact, if we go and ask our own wipe coding session that we have open right now to fix and be more rigorous on the fact checking, I'm sure we'll be able to fix this with wipe code.
Yeah, exactly. And just to get the facts right, so you said it was on 24 December 2025. So the date is correct, only the year is wrong, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think you know what the straightforward answer here is. Uh, the LLM hallucinated because it's only the cutoff date is I think 2024, right? I mean, it's if you see Claude Code, at least um, every time it's doing
Mm.
a web search, it always adds 2024, or I mean, unless you don't prompt it, it doesn't do 2025 at all, right? So I think the very easy fix would be to use the latest model. I mean, of course, Claude 4.5 is the latest, but maybe if we did GPT 5.2, right? I think this would not have happened. But again, this is open to speculation, and people in the comments below could correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, definitely we can fix that. But that's the whole point of fact checker. I don't know why fact checker did not.
I mean, we just put one node for fact checking. I guess we should like make it more rigorous and
Yeah,
enforce more constraints and, try various different things to retain the accuracy of
yeah,
this setup. But that's not what we are here for. We are not here sitting saying, hey, we have the best fact checker on the planet. Like, the first step in the first video, we very clearly said this is just something to look at, not necessarily a well built out fact checker.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
we just added a node to be able to do that.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Great points. Maybe what we can do right now is we can probably try and fix the fact checker, because I think this really makes or breaks the system. Because if we want to have that peace of mind saying, hey, you know what, there's a fact checker, no, that's going to wet on all the documents. But if the fact checker itself is kind of glitchy, then maybe
I
do you
guess
want to
it's
take
a
the,
prompt engineering thing too, right? If
yeah,
it's
prompt engineering
verify
thing?
the dates, verify the act thing, whatever rules we want to enforce.
Yeah.
But if you want to go ahead and add it, your call, if it's relevant. But I don't see a problem with this per se. For someone to get started, this is a good starting point. But go ahead if you want to quickly add that piece and see if you want to come back and check.
Yeah.
It's already 1 hour, 5 minutes, by the way.
Okay, maybe let's just do that one last thing and then call it a wrap. And
Yeah,
then maybe tomorrow or the next video, consecutive videos, we can talk about plugins.
sure.
I've kind of given you a brief like overview of what it could be, just based on the slash commands. But plugins are pretty much like slash commands, and we'll talk more about it and how we could leverage different plugins. And this is where the ecosystem comes in, where different community folks have built different plugins that we could just install them and already have it running for us. That's another cool thing to be excited about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really quickly, let me just
And just
because
to emphasize one point, this project is working right now, and that's a good starting point.
yeah. So I'll say, hey, the fact checker isn't doing a great job on being factual. It's approving the dates where it's wrong. For instance, and this is where I really like to use specific examples. It just kind of grounds the LLM, and it's a great thing because the LLM understands where exactly the issue is and helps better in debugging. For instance, the claim was, and just paste that in. Oops. Oh man. Claim was, and it allowed. Why don't you search the web and confirm yourself that it was 2025 and not 2024, and update it appropriately.
Update the fact checker node appropriately or the
Yeah.
date appropriately.
No, it understands because I started off with fact checker, right? So
Yeah,
hopefully it should understand the fact checker. So
nice.
now here I could have chosen it to do in plan mode,
Hmm. Yeah, I
but
think we should do that, right?
yeah, I
Do
mean
you want to cut it and do it?
we could definitely do plan mode. Very sure, you know. So I'll do shift
How did
tab
you
for
get to
plan,
plan mode again for people
shift
who
tab,
are new?
shift
Shift
tab.
tab.
Yeah, shift tab. It's a toggle, so until you come onto the plan mode toggle, just keep doing it. But still, it's going to go ahead and um, do the web search. So now it's asking a general query, a CNBC. When okay, I think I should have given a bit more information because this was on Grok. Hold on. So, and guys, another thing what I like to say is don't be afraid to interrupt the agent by pressing escape, because you don't want it to just spend unnecessary tokens on doing something without having context, right? And it allowed the query was, this is where we got to give complete info. Why did NVIDIA license Grok? So now it kind of has a bit more information to work with.
Yeah. So to emphasize what happened here, basically Rajat did not go and start giving his rules for what the fact checker should look like. He basically said, hey, look, whatever we have implemented at this point in time has issues. And here is one surfacing of that particular issue. He gave that particular example. He didn't say what I thought he would have said, something like, and this is not right or wrong. This is just like I would have done thinking, like putting the logic myself. Now that I think about it, using LLM to plan alongside with you is a better option than you adding your own logic, because your logic is potentially fantastic or flawed. We don't know that. And it's worth sort of doing this planning session with the LLM. And it kind of is a good thing for me to learn here as well. So what did it come up with now?
So now it actually confirmed what you said was true. So confirmed, the CNBC story was December 24, 2025, not 24. The fact checker missed the date error. Sources it gave. Let me look at fact checking and improve. Now you see, it's not just I'm saying, hey, it's got the dates wrong. Now it actually has complete information. And now it can guide the prompt or whatever to make it better. So now it's saying, hey, you know what? Let me update it, update the prompts. So be extremely strict about specific dates, the exact dates, months, statistics, accounts, so on and so forth. And sometimes, to make a better application, it's just having to write better English and then, adding guardrails. And it's a crazy, crazy world we live in. So, and yeah, you're
English is
absolutely right. Yeah, that's true. Courtesy, Andrew. Yeah. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And this intuition, I got through only after spending a lot of time, because sometimes the LLM kind of takes the hardest route possible, and sometimes it's actually really good at coming up with optimistic ways. In which case, when you think the LLM is not being smart enough, you can always prompt it and say, hey, what do you think about this approach? Right? And let the LLM kind of weigh out the pros and cons of that. And then if it's not good, it'll still come back and say, hey, it's probably not the best. Maybe you could go like this, and things of that nature. So I think it's about being flexible and not being rigid, if you will. So, and that's what I kind of do all the time.
and if
So,
LLM comes up with some weird sort of logic, you still are in the driver's seat. LLM is just there to work with you as a sidecar user, if you will.
absolutely,
LLM is
absolutely,
not driving this, so you have full power and control. Well, to the extent that you are working with an LLM, but you still have pretty good power and control when you're dealing with stuff like this.
definitely, definitely. So, great thing. And again, you see the hook was called so graph compiled with 15 nodes.
So it
So,
came back, and what did it do specifically? What was
so
the
it
fix?
updated the graph prompts.py, and yeah, and it said, hey, look, I'm just going to make a specific addition to the prompt and make it more stricter in terms of in terms of dates and statistics and numbers like that. So,
And if somebody has issues with, maybe name or location or some other fact that is objectively right, but LLM is getting it wrong, they come back and prompt engineer this a little bit more, and that should hopefully help.
yeah, and I think I want to add one more thing, because it's just based off of my intuition and how much I've been working, is that I think we could have completely avoided this problem if the LLM had the date, if it had the current date in mind. So if you ask the LLM, hey, what's the current date? It's randomly going to say something 2024,
Do you want to
right?
check that very quickly? The 4.5 model. I
Yeah,
can maybe check when was the cutoff for 4.5.
yeah, absolutely.
Let me quickly
And
take
while
a
you're
look.
checking that, I'm going to add this feature. I'm going to say, hey, also, you know what? I think,
We're looking at Opus, right?
yeah, it'd be better to also give the LLM with the date time currently. That way we can eliminate any possible hallucinations, if any.
So the cutoff is May 25 for Opus.
Oh, it's May 25. Okay.
4.5.
But
And
wait,
and then I see
no,
a
the thing
specific.
is, we have to see what model is being used here.
I thought we were using Opus.
Well, Claude Code was Opus, but the
Uh,
internal, the
Agent
LLM,
and prompt.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I have another question there. If can you go back for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see there, pay close attention to dates, numbers, and specific details. If claim mentions a specific date, verify the exact date and sources. A year being off means the claim is not verified. Okay, well, it's just giving some instances. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it's verbatim saying if it's 24, put it to 25.
No, no. That would be wild. Then
Yeah.
we so hold on. We need to take a look at what model it's using. So I can ask, hey, what model is being used, by the way?
Not this. I think the model you really want to look at is the searching and the synthesizing model, right?
Yeah, basically all the models that we have for that we have internally for this agent. Yeah, see, it's using Clonet, Sard Clonet 4. There you go.
Claude Sonnet 4. Okay.
Yeah, so, okay. I mean, we were fine with it, but I'd say use the latest.
No, I think we're good. Let's just proceed with our setup. We don't need to change the model. Because,
Yeah,
most of the time it's prompt engineering that'll go a long way.
true. Okay, so restart this server. Maybe you could add another hook. I mean, I think that the hot reload is already there, but we could add other hook where if any of the specific graph file changes, it will go ahead and restart that server. You know.
Yeah.
So it's starting now. So let me switch back and I can rerun the thread. Okay, so it's running, it's back up. Stricter to date. You want me to run again?
Yeah, exact same query.
Yeah, rerun from here. So it's going to go ahead, plan it out. It's insane to think how far we've come. When Claude 3.7 came out, it was really awesome, you know, for even coding tasks. It was so good. But then 4 came out, it became obsolete. Now 4.5, now 4 seems very obsolete and dumb. So it's crazy how fast we're making that progress.
World we live in is incredibly fast moving. If
Yeah.
you blink, you miss too much.
Yeah. And I think maybe if people in the audience also want to learn more specifically about LangGraph, maybe they can put that in the comments below and we can also focus our shift towards LangGraph as well, because I think it's one of the most hottest skill to have, AI engineering, understanding RAG, graphs, LangGraphs, different vector stores, building effectively a RAG-based application, things of that nature is really high value. It's high value skill, and even the pay is pretty good for that. AI engineering is a really good hot field to work at.
Yep, it is. And if you know how to work with GPUs and get these GPUs to go brr, then you're making brr.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the greatest resource for that is GPU mode. They have amazing tutorials and they keep going live very often. It's really amazing. You get to learn a lot from them. So if you wanted to learn more about warps and threads and different and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Rakshit, those different internal working architecture of GPUs,
GPU.
GPU mode is really great.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll also be covering more in this channel. Topics like that and specific, you know, ways to improve your model's performance, running evals,
Right.
running fine tuning, and doing RL on these open source models that are available. And, things like that. That's what I have planned for this channel, furthermore, to enable more knowledge sharing and learning from the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking forward to it. So now it essentially did all the research and all the prep work. Now it's synthesizing. So focus on the decode the deals structure, 8%, 20 billion. Let's see. It'll be nice to see if the fact checker gets the same claim, hopefully. And that way we understand how much of a deterministic or non-deterministic system this is. Uh, you know. So it's writing the article.
So this is the synthesis part, right? This is not fact checking yet.
No, this is the synthesis is over. Now it's writing the actual article.
Okay.
The next would be the fact checker.
I'll call this merging.
Yeah.
This phase. Well, what do you call this phase?
Well, this is actually the actual blog being written from the synthesis part. So synthesis just gives you the scaffolding. Write article is where it goes ahead and writes all the things essential. Okay, is verified. So second one became false. I wonder what this is. Okay, cool. So specific date not verified. The claim states the deal happened on December 24th, but no source explicitly mentions the December 24th as the exact date source. Only mention December
It's hard to read.
2024. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
I put my face literally in front of the monitor. Yeah, whatever you read, I'll listen.
never mind. Let it kind of finish its thing. But
So the
yeah,
way
right off the
this
bat, we can see that the date thing is working because it immediately flagged that, hey, it says around December 24th, but nowhere does it say any specific dates. So the claim is dismissed there. Yeah, you were saying something?
So the way this works is I have a hypothesis, it'll reject the hypothesis. It'll not come up with a newer hypothesis, right? It won't actually find the correct date. It'll basically just reject the date, correct?
Yeah. Because, I mean, it had no source of truth to, to kind of apprehend that claim, if you will. So it did not have anywhere to find its truthness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I can go into the chat mode later. You see, now a lot of things are failing. Previously, only one or I think two claims failed, but now a lot of them are failing. Yeah, now it's all done. So
Do you want to show us claims that failed?
Yeah, claim. While families gathered around Christmas trees on December 24th, see here, it should have been 2025. It didn't say the 2025. NVIDIA quietly executed what may be the most strategically brilliant deal in AI history. Specific date not verified. The claim states deal happened on 24 December, but no source explicitly mentioned December 24th as the exact date. Source may only mention December 2024 or around Christmas Eve 24 without confirming the specific December 24 date. Okay. So now it's going to go ahead and fix those claims. Around Christmas Eve 2024, NVIDIA repair what might be. Okay. Now you see, I see the problem immediately. The thing is, this fact checker messed up the fixed claim as well because now the fixed claim thinks it's 2024. It's supposed to have been 2025. So I hope that makes sense. And of course, we have a lot to work on, but it's interesting how even the smallest of the
why
things.
did it not fix it? Sorry, I didn't quite get that part.
Okay, so what happened was now the fact checker came with unverified claims, right? It said, hey, look, these were the unverified claims. Now the fact checker, I mean the fixed claims is not actually kind of going and searching the web again. It's just fixing the claims just based on the fact checks outputs, if that makes sense, right? And so what happened was, since the fact checker said specific timelines were untrue, it's trying to make those inconsistencies consistent. So it's trying to match with the fact checker, not with the actual source of truth. I think the easiest fix here is the fixed claim should get its source of truth from the analysis results or things of that nature. If right, so it's messing up.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fine. It's okay to just keep this going because, like I said, we are not promising accuracy or performance. What we are exactly doing here is to just get us going and get us started
Yeah,
with clever logic. And it's very clear for us and for anybody watching, there is more work to be done on this. And I think at the risk of us already going way longer, I'm not entirely convinced we need to go further down to fix this in
yeah,
order to fulfill this video. I think we should just upload this video as is. And, if there is a dire need to fix this, we can come back and address that in a different video,
yeah,
which
absolutely.
which will probably not be titled as Claude, skills or Claude hooks or anything potentially related to Claude. We'll have to say, okay, fixing the issues with our applications before production or something.
Yeah, yeah, true. I mean, but at least we could have a fairly working application. If it's not 100% accurate, at least pretty accurate, if you will, right? So we can definitely get to that point. Is all I'm saying. Because I mean, we can see the gaps, and once we understand the gaps, it's easy to fix. So I think, yeah, I mean, definitely we can call it a wrap on this video. Once it, I think it's going to go ahead and go do this again because there are some still unverified claims with the fact checker where the verification failed. So the fact checker is going to go ahead and, you know, go through this again. See, it's going with the third iteration now. First was done, it failed. Second was done, it failed. This is the third time. So we can see how this would go. Maybe just finish once this is done, or maybe we can reconvene later.
Yeah, I'll let the final block be percolated. We'll just give it another minute. And
Yeah.
then while that's happening, yeah, so I'll leave you all with this. We can, make more progress. I think maybe if you have more suggestions for improving the fact checker, we are happy to take them and see what we can do. While that's our, interest, I want to let you know that in the subsequent videos, we'll be discussing more topics. We'll be discussing Claude plugins and other workflow improvement techniques for your Claude, code generation and things of that nature. What's also more interesting is if you're into other topics around LangGraph, LangChain, maybe we can also be discussing that, particularly around, RAG and other aspects of RAG if you're all interested. I thought that rag horse is beaten to death on the internet right now. But
Yeah.
hey, maybe if you're interested in stuff like that, we are happy to discuss that too. What is interesting and important from your viewership is that we are still trying to see where we go with this channel, and Rajat has been building his other tool called Parallel Universe, which we'll be linking. I think you should go check it out. It's a pretty cool idea to improve your X following and X engagement, X dot. And he's extensively used tools like this. Perhaps he can discuss that more on his channel. You should go check out his channel, which I'll be linking as well.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, I think we'll just give it another few moments. Do you have any tips or closing thoughts before, we close this out, Rajat?
I mean, the tips, of course, we're going to discuss in the next videos. Even in this session, you see when we try to implement the slash commands or custom slash commands, or even with this application, not everything is going to be very straightforward. And my only thing is, if you want to really build something that's working and at the end of the day you want to ship it to users or whatnot, you still have to put in the effort of trying to mitigate any errors or solve them as they arise. And you definitely need patience for this.
Yeah, and I think we should also, I mean, I'll, if you want, include a section for meditation if you're interested in stuff like that, dealing with Claude Code and other aspects of Claude Code problems or cursor or things like that. Yeah, I mean, jokes aside, I do like meditation though, so I guess it's not really a joke. But what's worth mentioning is you really got to take it. If you don't know, if you are a total beginner, you just want to dabble with Claude Code, you've not built any applications and you're not a professional developer, take this as an opportunity to learn. Consider this your pathway to marginally improving comparatively to others. Reject the concept that I don't need to code because AI is so much better. Well, if that is what you entirely believe in, I think you may be right in a few years from now. At least at this point, before everybody builds whatever they want to build, it is your time to go ahead and learn things if you're a total beginner. And if you're an advanced developer, it is your time to hone in on these tools. We look forward to what tips you have for us because you might have found some interesting and amazing workarounds that could help the community here as well as everybody here. So, regardless of what experience level you have, please comment and let us know where we can improve and also what we can do to improve your workflow and other people's workflow. This is not a channel of me and Rajat just, talking and doing stuff. This is about you and this is about what everybody here can learn from others. So with that being said, I think we are just about ready to call it done. Where
Yeah.
are we? Which iteration are we at?
I think this is the fourth or actually fifth. I think it's the fourth
I
one.
imagine not much is going to come from the subsequent iterations.
Yeah, it's just going to be pretty much the same, and hopefully, it'll just summarize everything and all the fact checks go through, and it'll just stop. So I think
Yeah.
that might be the
Yeah.
situation because I think I see all of them to be true.
Yeah, we're about done to call. You're about, approaching the point where we are going to call it done. And Rajat, thank you very much for showcasing this and, letting us see this world of Claude Code's hooks. And, we look forward to the subsequent version of content that we could be providing to our audience.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having me, and yeah, stay focused, stay hungry. All right, take care. Bye bye.